Hey folks, so I'm here talking about the coronavirus and whether we're all going to die. No, I'm not trying to make light of this. Obviously, this is a very serious subject. And I just wanted to make a video because people are freaked out. Of course, the world is freaked out, and I'm tired of hearing, though, what does the coronavirus say? What's that going to happen? What's going to happen? What about Pluto? What about Uranus? Okay. So anyway, before I get into it, I do have my cards up here. Like the video, subscribe, and get notified. Ring the bell, okay? I do these updates quite a lot. I've been doing them a lot more, and I really like it. By the way, one of the reasons I'm doing more live is because YouTube actually, takes them higher into the algorithm, and it's easy to just do them live or to release them live. So like and subscribe and get notified of updates like this. I have several coming up here real soon that I'm going to be doing on some of the recent case studies with like the recent impeachment, world events. We have all kinds of shifts coming. So go ahead, like, subscribe, get notified. So today I'm talking about the coronavirus. And, it's starting to spread. And this is something that will be I think it's going to be something that is an issue in Asia for sure. It already is. This is a, I'm really going to be talking more about whether it's going to be a global phenomena. It's definitely, I think, going to be dangerous in China and in Asia, perhaps. But as far as going global, I don't think it's going to be, it's not going to be what people are fearing. And I'm going to explain why here. And again, it's very sad to see what's happening throughout Asia, throughout China. And so I apologize for, I wasn't trying to make light of things at the beginning of the video. That was perhaps pretty insensitive, mainly, but honestly, I basically, I just get bombarded. Something happens and it's just constant. What's going to happen with it? So a few things. Let me just pull up the chart here and show what's going on. I have two charts here. This one over here, this is actually the day that the first death was recorded in China. It happened on this day, which look at the configuration. This was the day before the full moon that we had after the eclipse. Again, this is why I'm keeping up with this. Remember the eclipse we had on December 25th, the solar eclipse we had December 25th. Okay, that solar eclipse happened in Mula. Remember all the stuff, all that? Well, 2 weeks later, this is the day before that lunar eclipse. Moon is in Ardra Nakshatra, right on top of Rahu, and this was when the first death was recorded. The first known sort of case was said to be on January 7th, I believe, but it seemed, from what I've been able to find, the first death was reported January 9th in China, okay? By the way, when I do these and you see San Diego, sometimes people say, why do you have it for San Diego? That's just the default that I have. This is a general day. This isn't this isn't down to the location and the time. Okay, so don't, because people say, why isn't it set for China? Again, because it's not, and this is a sort of global thing. But anyway, so this is when we had that first death, okay, was right around this lunar eclipse, and the moon had just gone over Ardra with Ardra Nakshatra, and this was January 9th. This is where we are right now, and you can see where we are right now. We have this close Jupiter-Ketu conjunction. We have a lot of planets have moved. Saturn has now moved into Capricorn. The Sun has moved into Capricorn. Venus had just gone into Aquarius. Make a note of that. Venus had just gone into Aquarius, and Mercury, all these other planets were piled up here in Sagittarius. Venus was really the only one that wasn't, and it had just gone into Aquarius. So since then, we've had this outbreak. It's been well reported. It's been well known We've been very prepared, at least the rest of the world, but we've seen its virulence and its deadly potential through China, as it seems. I don't know the exact number that have already died, but it seems to be at least 1,000 or so. Just look here, and so I'll show you what's yeah. So in China, it's definitely so as I'm looking at this right now, it says 304 people in China have died from the virus. Someone put a comment that said thousands have died or something. That's actually not true. Thousands are not dead in China. So again, let's not lose our head here. Okay, so this person, the virus has HIV in it. Deuce, mom, you need to calm down. You've made 4 comments. Trump is never going to leave. Thousands have died. The virus has HIV in it. Okay, so it's not. But it is spreading in China. There have been about 300 people in China who have died, and it's mostly about 14. It says mostly about 14,500 have been infected worldwide. Most of them are in China. So okay, so let's do this. All right, bye-bye. Now, so where we're at right now is that we're going to have shifts here where Venus is about to leave Aquarius, and in a day, like in fact tomorrow, whoops, this just went forward here. So let's see, birth chart. Okay. So tomorrow on February 3rd, in fact, by tomorrow morning, February 3rd, Venus will go into Pisces. So Venus is going to be exalted in Pisces. Again, now Venus is the nurse, is the caretaker, the caregiver, literally the nurse. This really bodes well for getting care, getting assistance, and literally like the world coming together around this. These kinds of events, in some ways, are our, I'll say salvation, but these kinds of events are the kinds of things that can bring humanity together, because first of all, we realize we're all in it together now in this day and age. Something isn't just isolated into China and like, well, who cares if it kills a couple thousand Chinese people? We're over here, it ain't going to get us. Well, not this day and age. Airplanes and everything else. This looked to be very easily spread just through breathing and stuff like that, which is much more, potentially virulent and spreadable than other viruses. But, it's very easy to start to panic about things like this. And this is what we're also seeing right now. This is the age of, this is all this potential panic. People start panicking, losing their cool around this, and I understand why. So that's why I'm doing this. But it's if you listen to any kind of even health professionals now that have analyzed the nature of this virus, there are some things about it that seem to be troubling, especially that it seems to be contagious in ways that seem to be easier, like just through contact around people who we don't know are infected, and we can just breathe it in. Again, these things show real potential difficulty. But, first of all, the fatality rate doesn't seem as high. I mean, again, it's like 14,000 people seem to have it. Only 300 or so have died, 400. It's not that fast. Of course, they're working on vaccines. They're working on trying to isolate it. The biggest things that I also wanted to talk about, though, astrologically, are also shown in a few other steps that have happened that are very clearly shown astrologically. Number one is this really powerful Saturn in Capricorn. And you can see it immediately in this notion of quarantine here in the US. And I think you'll see other developed nations as well start to impose and put those who are coming back from China into quarantine start to quarantine them. And again, that's very much Saturn in Capricorn. Quarantine, Saturn in Capricorn, right? Identifying the threat and addressing it this way. One second. So we can see that power of Saturn helping, right? And, also, Mars in Scorpio is also really powerful to, fight back, to fight against this thing, to fight against this bug, and to mobilize around it. We also, again, just have to look at the fact that Jupiter is also in Sagittarius. Again, all this Rahu-Ketu axis is where you would see these kind of this potential for like mass casualties, mass deaths, spreading of invisible viruses. Rahu and Ketu have a lot to do with that. And again, you see Jupiter is the ruler of Ketu especially. And he's going to be there till the end of March before he pokes his head into Capricorn. So all these planets in such good dignity makes it very unlikely that we're going to have that we're going to be, decimated by this. I think even China will get this. They'll get this under control. They're working on it now, and they're working on quarantining and doing other things. So I think this is going to be a big part of how we isolate this so that it doesn't spread. Is these sort of quarantines and things like that, which are very Saturnian, very Saturn in nature. And so we see that these things here, pretty obvious. And the other thing to realize is that what these viruses do is, someone said the virus has mutated, they mutate into things that are more manageable. For example, the H1N1 virus that was so scary, I don't remember how long ago it was, but that's now just a regular kind of virus that has changed shape a little bit. I don't remember if that one was a corona type virus. I don't remember. I'm not an epidemiologist or whatever. But I wanted to try to make this sort of quick update because people are worried about this, nervous about this, and I wanted to make a video to kind of put people's minds at ease. This is how I'm seeing it, and I'm showing you why. I don't just say a bunch of stuff. I'm showing you why. So this is where we're going, even in the next couple days. But then even if we go forward, these are pretty stable placements. And by the way, we saw the rise of this happen with Venus and Mercury both in Aquarius. And Aquarius is really the sign of the masses, of the culture, of the sort of global citizens, and that that nature is where we can see this kind of sort of mass panic a little bit, where we feel like maybe something is going to infect the entire citizens of the world, or we're worried about our health here in the U.S. and in other parts of the world where it didn't start. And one thing that's also very interesting about this, and by the way, you can see the ticker along the bottom if you're interested in seeing how 2020 is going to work for you. You can register and get a forecast where I'm analyzing the 10 most important transits for each sign. But there's also something that's very interesting in this chart is, and someone just mentioned coronavirus. There's a couple things. Again, corona. What happens with a corona? It's another name for the sun's corona when there's an eclipse. Should go back and look and see the recent coronaviruses and how close they were connected to eclipses, or at least the nodes. That's literally the same term that we use, the same word, is a corona. But the thing that's also interesting and fascinating, and there's been some second thoughts about whether or not this is really true. I noticed this immediately, but if you remember, they said, if you've been watching this a little bit, that one of the main reasons for this particular virus, that it originated in an area where like food markets, where they're consuming snakes. This was a lot of the reporting, that this virus seemed to jump from bats to snakes, then to humans, because humans are eating snakes. And also, it's again, I read it, and they have their ways of tracing the the signature, but it was this migration of the pathogen through bats and snakes, and people eating them, and of course them being sold in these open air markets. And that's how the virus mutated and then was passed along through the air. But notice this issue of snakes. And what is a snake in Vedic thinking? It is Rahu and Ketu. They are the serpents, the serpent. So look, this was the first reported death, happened Moon Rahu, right? And this isn't, you can't make this stuff up. Again, people say, oh, that's coincidence, that's this, that. Yeah, sure, real coincidence. That this pathogen gets unleashed with this connection to eating snakes when we just had this eclipse, the serpent energy, and all of this. Again, it's not just mythology. These are energies. Serpent energy is a specific energy. In India, it's considered a curse to kill a snake, to kill a serpent, because of the potency and the power of the serpent. Right? So to be eating snakes, I mean, first of all, who wants to eat a snake? I don't know. It's just, but, you say karma, everything has karma. So serpent energy creating this virus. Now, again, I've also seen recently that this story has been questioned, and maybe that's not actually the truth, that maybe that's not true. But I certainly was watching it for a couple of weeks like, oh, okay, here we go. That makes sense in this eclipse cycle. And so in addition, even if it's not serpents directly, Ardra Nakshatra is ruled by Lord Shiva in his form as the Lord of the animals, the Lord of the hunt. His name is Pashupati, which is the Lord of the animals, the Lord of the hunt. Most of these viruses that originated in China have to do with swine and pigs, and they are mutations that come from eating animals and raising livestock for human consumption. Again, this whole industry globally, this is the biggest blight on humanity. There's no close second. That is what we do to animals for food, and horns, and their penises, or whatever, for money. What we do to animals for money and food, which is really the same thing, because we don't need to eat them for food, but there's a lot of money in it. There's not even a close second. And everyone would agree that the Holocaust was an abomination, and it was grotesque, and it was monstrous. How many people even agree that animal livestock and animal agriculture and factory farming and the systematic slaughter of billions, tens of billions of animals yearly is even a big deal? Oh, come on, you snowflake. Yeah, my steak, so good. It's this mass cruelty that is absolutely sanctioned. To be against it is to be some nutcase. Oh, you're just some California nutcase. Yeah, sure. And this crap is the result. These viruses and this other stuff. AIDS came out of, with mixing with monkeys and abusing animals. Not to mention all the outbreaks that we have over here of some kind of E. coli, something. Where do you think E. coli comes from? It comes from crap getting on crops. It's not human crap, it's animal crap. Because raising animals, even in the US or in other parts of the world where it's, sterile and safe, because they do it somewhere that's not around population centers because it's so damn toxic, it still creates all this runoff that gets into the water table, and then gets onto our crops. You don't get E. coli on spinach because somehow, cow dung got on spinach. Well, how does that happen? Well, it happens because the water has been contaminated by the effects of raising wild livestock. And then we eat that crap and with all its antibiotics and make ourselves sick. So I'm going on a little bit of a rant here because this is the thing, this abuse of animals as if they're our property is easily the single worst, absolute abomination that humans have ever done. And with absolute carte blanche most of the time. If you stand up and say, look, this is ridiculous, most people would just say, oh, but I need meat, but we need meat, but oh, don't make me feel bad. Don't make me feel bad. It's my diet, my dietary choice. Again, it's all for the almighty dollar or for money. So we see this now again in China because there's so many people and their population centers are so concentrated, and their tactics for livestock isolation or whatever isn't so good or isn't as good. If they're more susceptible to these things. So anyway, I wanted to do a quick update on this because people are worried about this outbreak. I don't think it's going to spread that much. I don't even think it's going to be as bad in China. Again, for as many people that have contracted it, the mortality rate is not that. It's like a virus. They don't have a cure yet. The coronaviruses are really potentially damaging because they can be spread by just breathing and stuff like that, which again, but it's not virulent. It's not like, Ebola or something that everybody dies who gets it. It's a tough virus that looks pretty intense, like the coronaviruses are, but they're going to get it under control. And again, we're already seeing here in the US setting up, quarantine centers for people that are coming into the country from China. They're going to be quarantined. Not taking any chances. Again, that's good. It's a good measure. And also, no non-US nationals are allowed in the country that have been to China. If you're not a citizen and you're just visiting, you're not allowed in the country. Again, these are harsh measures, but sometimes these things have to be done. And you'll see these kinds of measures taken to contain and isolate it and treat it. And then they'll get it treated. And, viruses peter out like everything else peters out. It's not like they live forever or that they always stay the same. I saw a very good article. I'll show it to you here. Where is it? Yeah, it's here. This is a Vox article. I'll put the link in the thing now. I hope that comes over. But it's how does this outbreak end? So again, there are a few ways that they end. Spread of virus gets under control through public health interventions. We're seeing these kinds of things, but they also, find antidotes. They find something to treat it. Also, they're talking about past ones. 2, the virus burns itself out after it affects all or most of the people most susceptible to it. We don't really understand how many people are that susceptible. The death rate, the mortality rate doesn't look that high for 14,000 people infected. Only 300 have died. Again, that's not great. But for instance, the regular flu seems to be more scary. Like everyone has said, all the experts that I've seen and that I've read have stated that Yeah, we got to be alert to this, but probably even just the regular flu that we can get, poses as much a risk as this. But the virus burns itself out after it infects all or most of the people, and the coronavirus becomes like yet another common virus, like the H1N1 that circled the globe in a pandemic. This was like the bird virus, H1N1. That one was transmitted through birds, right? And unsanitary conditions with birds. But so anyway, just wanted to talk about these things. Now, I'm not going to talk about all the conspiracy theories. That's what the government says. How do you really know? Blah, blah. Okay. All right. You're right. I'm a dupe. We're all dupes. I got it. But this is, I know, because I'm not talking about what the government is saying. I'm looking at astrology. Okay. That's what I do. And I'm looking at the astrology, not basing it on what any government has said. And by the way, it's not governments that are saying this. These are people that actually are also researchers, scientists, and people with a brain. So again, we have to stop acting like every single thing we hear is them doing something to us and they're just doing something. Again, that's not even what I'm doing. But so here I'm talking about the astrology, and with the planets in the good dignity, especially with Venus moving into its sign of exaltation, I think we'll see some real sort of healing, or at least, I think they'll get it under control here. It's not going to be right away because these things have a certain inertia, but I don't think it's going to turn into this huge thing that we're all fearing and worrying about. So aside from that, hope everyone is doing well, and you can, I have several web classes that are going on now, and things that you can avail yourself of that actually are a 2020 Vedic Astrology Forecast. If you haven't gotten it yet, again, I actually talk about Saturn and Capricorn for your sign and all the signs for the next 2 to 3 years, and all these other 10 placements. Also, again, one that I just started here was the Venus 2020 Venus. http 2020venus.com. As we just saw, Venus is exalted, and it will be for the next couple weeks, for all of February. And then Venus goes through her retrograde cycle. Venus will go through a retrograde cycle in the spring. It'll be in Taurus for like 4 months. So this is a big year for Venus, and you should understand Venus. You should understand your nature of Venus. And I did this web class here where I talk about Venus this year, because it's going through these very powerful signs. And where is it? Let me pull it up here. Venus is here now, and you see it's in this exalted sign here. It keeps going, right? Then it goes through Aries, then it goes into Taurus, and it'll be retrograde. You'll see. See, now it's in Taurus. It'll be in Taurus for like 4 months. It's fantastic. So we have big Venus stuff going on here as well. We got some comments here. Yeah. Shivakami, how are you? I'm well. Nice to see you. Haven't seen you around. Let me look at a few other Batman's revenge. Right. Maggie said viruses become dormant. They don't go away. Right. Yeah, they become dormant and they mutate into other things. And so Gabriel has his theories. Quarantine camps don't get taken down once the so-called virus is contained. They are demoed and repurposed as other types of camps. Okay, here it comes. We're all going to be locked up in camps. Not so sure I agree with that, but there you go. Maggie Craigie said, I love that you just delete, boom, straight away the Ning Nong comments. I block people. I don't want that stuff. There was a few people showed up, so I just block it. I have a good Saturn. I don't have any guilt. I don't feel any guilt about having good boundaries. So, and so, anyway, people, if you want to know what's going on this year and you didn't get the 2020 forecast yet, go ahead and do that. And again, like, subscribe, ring the bell. Again, if you're new to the, my videos or whatever, I do these updates quite a lot, and I try to keep it informative. I have some things I'm going to be talking about here soon, especially with going back over the recent impeachment and politics thing. Very fascinating the way that has tracked. I'm going to be doing an update on that here in the next few days and other things. So, all right, guys, have a good one. And don't worry, we're going to get it under control.